We are back with the second podcast about new age parenting.
Hello everyone, good morning.
You have seen a lot of shots already.
Filled you up with them.
But today we actually are going to make time to talk about the ACR, authority, clarity and rules.
Yes.
That's one of the things, and maybe also the perspective of the father. You said already, like, okay, when I go only as a single mom or like as the mom to the workshop, will it work when my partner doesn't know about it?
Doesn't follow up with what's been said or what I adopt, hopefully. And basically we're going to tap on a lot of issues maybe that came up on our last podcast, but on an extension on parts that we need to elaborate a little further. So should we start with the
ACR?
Yes. This after I had a chat with you, and after I've received help from you actually before even our podcast. I realized these components that really help are having the so-called ACR, which is what I came up with being authority and affection, clarity and consistency, and rules and rhythm. They're all your input, and I think they pretty much summarize the gist of all your advice. And maybe you can elaborate how far that ACR can work in making the house a more balanced domestic environment, and how kids are at their best actually to soak in and flourish and thrive when that is achieved, which is every single parent's intention, to watch their kids flourish.
Yeah, I think especially with this kind of authority, clarity and rules is about like that it's not about the child, but it's about the parent. Like you have to see your own behavior to recognize the behavior in your child. Mm. Yeah, so like when we try to have authority and then people say like you should actually say this or you should do that. It's not about that. It's about like how do I actually at that time react on that behavior, what I see, what probably actually like is my behavior. Mm. So it's finding the middle road in between the authority and affection is like having also this kind of mercy to yourself. Mm. Yeah, because actually you don't know what to do, and then you get in panic or you get angry. Mm. Yeah,
and actually maybe listening, like you said, have mercy towards yourself. There was a time in the whole process of me trying to teach Arya to sleep in her own bed that my husband said, show her some mercy, or maybe she is a little bit scared. And I said, it could be, all kids are afraid of the dark, I suppose. I'm not saying it's unreal. I'm saying it's valid, but also my need to sleep in my own bed, have my own space, have my own peace at night, and have my sleep not being interrupted is equally valid. So it's a choice of what supersedes. And if I'm peaceful along the way, even though I felt like I was being tough, in these days, my child turns around and says to me, you're the best mother I've ever had, and we have the best of times together. So I actually saw what you actually said in practice, that she's a happier child and she's more grateful towards the parent, even though I feel like a lot more tough than I felt like 3 months ago. I'm a tougher cookie, yet a more fun and playful, and to my daughter's eyes, a better parent.
Yeah, and it's not about like that you have this authority and standing there and it has to be your way. Mm-mm. It's a kind of like mercy with everyone involved.
Respect with
everyone
involved.
So like you said also like you have this kind of child that runs around and shouts and what do you do then? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when you can actually first actually have that mercy on yourself, not actually like panicking and saying like what shall I do now? I have rules, I have authority. Mm. But as you say to yourself, like, what can I do for myself at the best actually for myself at this time? And most of the time it's not about the panic and the shouting then. Makes sense when I say it?
Elaborate.
Yeah, because actually I said also like we get good advice, but how do I follow up with that advice when I'm already in panic or in a kind of state that I don't want this in my life? Yeah, so it's about like the action of, do I go with my feeling of not being capable to the good mom, or can I actually like step out of that kind of situation? And of course, it's very difficult when you have all the shouting going on, and then to say like, I step out of it.
And you have the shout, and you have the shout, and the shouting is happening, and you have a history on your back of it's just another time where I can't control them. The child knows the parent is either going to start shouting and lose the plot, or it's either going to become soft. Come on, darling, please, start all this begging.
But you hear already that you actually think that you can't handle it. So you're actually not merciful to yourself. You think that you are in panic, or you think that I'm here again, like not knowing what to do.
Yes, it actually works for me to say to myself, I can do this. In the calm, certain tone that you delivered it to me as a message.
Yeah, the example you gave me from like no is no. Yeah? And then in the middle of chaos saying no is no. Yeah. But the history before is important. Yeah, because actually like when you let it go to that kind of extreme, then it's not about like saying no is no. Then it's first actually bringing that authority to yourself.
How?
By seeing clearly that you have let it happen. Taking the responsibility for it. Not actually feeling responsible to soothe the child.
Okay, so if you take the responsibility, what's the next step?
The responsibility is from like, I deal with it. What you say, I can handle it. And then out of that, I handle it, there you actually like say, no is no. Make sense?
It does, but
it's a fine lining.
It's a very fine line, and I'm with you. But I see from people such as my husband who are a bit softer. I can maybe adopt this, but not everyone can.
Like what partners most time do is like they compensate. You become the authority. You are like there. You tell how it has to be done, and then he is actually like, or she, that can be the other way around too.
Let me be the soft.
Is then like compensating for it. Yeah.
Making up.
Yeah, and that is very confusing for the child. So like, you can say, what can we do about it? It's about saying to your husband like, when I say no, it's your no too. Yeah. When you say no, it's my no too. So we have to make a kind of like statement to each other. You can't actually like say, I do it halfway, because then you stay in chaos.
Because that's another common issue that a lot of parents raise, that I say this and my husband jumps from the back and says the other, or says I disagree, and then there's a discussion happening in front of the child. And
even when you don't have such a great relationship, because most time it happens with parents or divorced with the divorced partner, like there's another kind of rule system, and so that's difficult. But when you want to raise your kid, and I think like we said before, like parents wants to do it in the best way, then you still have to make appointments about that. Really like decisions making from like, we don't accept this, and we both.
What if the partner says, I don't agree with that?
Yeah, then one way or the other, you end up in chaos, both of you.
So it's really important that there's alignment.
Yeah. And I can actually like say like, oh, it doesn't matter as long as you have your rules. Oh.
But isn't that like a bit nerve-breaking, because a mother or a father could be struggling and doing their best, listening to our podcast or reading the book or doing, and isn't it a bit unfair on them that you will never get to your desired approach or result because your partner is not of the same mindset or of the same opinion?
Is being honest unfair? I mean, we better be very honest about this. And like when the parent already takes the victimhood role, yeah, the victim role there, then you put yourself already in a position that you're weakening your systems there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can actually say like, yeah, but I'm a single mom, so how can I do it well? No, then you actually take for two people, you take that kind of responsibility.
Would that work though still? Because I know single parents, and they can't say, oh, when they go to the grandma in the weekend and the father, it becomes such a chaos, and you know.
But for a child, it's very clear that when you have rules, there are rules, especially like when they don't live together. Yeah, then you can say like your father have maybe rules there, and you follow there, and when you're home, we do this.
And is that still healthy in the
That
long
is
run
still
for the
healthy.
child?
Yeah, because you're honest.
Uh-huh.
And the most important thing is to be honest to your children. Having two rules that actually like, okay, now we do this and then we do that. How fair is that?
So to come back to it, in a way, it is possible to raise them with two different disciplines.
When you are in that kind of situation,
Circumstances, okay.
then of course then that happens.
But when it's the same household,
But when it's the same household,
it can lead to
one
more
line.
chaos.
One line.
Otherwise, it can lead to more chaos than
Yeah.
two different households.
And it can lead to divorce.
Yes, exactly. And so, again, what if in the same household the parent doesn't really align? Is it still, let's say, a successful recipe to follow the ACR, even if it's adopted by the one parent to the greater extent?
Yeah, you have to see it in a far more like holistic way. Yeah, what is authority to you? It's probably something else than it is for me, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's about like where we started off with that kind of mercy to yourself. It's not actually being the one who is actually punishing around and whatever, but it's an authority like, can I actually really take the step that I stay calm with myself, I don't go with my feelings and emotions, I'm not actually like every time like shouting
entering a battle.
Yeah, so like, can I stop there? That's the first question for yourself, because actually like parenting is about the parent, yeah, not about your child. Your child follows up with you. So the more clarity there is in your life, the more clarity you show to your child. Rules are like safety stops, more or less. Rules is not actually like you have to do this because then otherwise I punish you. Rules is giving that kind of safety. But it's also rules for yourself, because actually you stay like honest. You stay like with one opinion. Mm-hmm. So it really has to be first applied on the parent.
So if you were to work with the adult alone, an adult that has a decreased value in his authority, how would we achieve raising the authority, the once had authority in any individual? That's now a parent, and that virtue is even more necessary.
But self-observation and actually like looking in the mirror to yourself, like, what do I actually do there? Not actually blaming anything else or the child or the circumstances, but that you look at yourself. So self-observation, like kind of meditating on it. But I'm sure that like when you look for ways that you already have that kind of awareness, like, because you have to remember that the parents of now, the today's children, are also the one with this higher awareness. And that can completely confuse them also. Because now you have to be friendly and nice and understanding. And it's not, parenting is not about being understanding. Parenting is about honesty. It's about leading, and then leading in a way that the other one can develop. So there is also this freedom in it. But you can only have freedom when you actually are having the boundaries of rules.
Yes. I was thinking also of what in my head felt like this broken compass effect. A lot of parents, they don't dare give any rules to their kids because they come with this more liberal approach of, I don't want to map out anything to them. It's their path. It's their way. But yes, you're giving them a map and you don't want to give them a choice of a route. But chosen routes and dictated routes is not dictating the rules. It's two different things. Yeah. Rules are like the compass. So it's like the tool to navigate yourself on any map, on any route. And I find that the parents confuse the two. They think if I give them too many rules, it's like telling them where to go. But that's not what it is. It's giving them the tools and the safety and leading them, guiding them in a way on how to find their own way.
Yeah, and you have to experience yourself that like when you start doing it, your child actually right away changes with you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not that you are too late or that it doesn't help. No.
They're very good sponges, actually. Yeah. Unlike adults, I think they're very fast to sponge and absorb.
Yeah, so like it is worth actually looking into it and to say like, yeah, I have to change my mind about it. I'm not a victim of my circumstances in the sense of like, I don't know what to do. Of course you know what to do when you actually calm down. So that calming down, that effect is huge. So what is for you calming down, you think? How can you calm down?
I think through reminding myself that I deserve the respect that I wish to teach my child. And
is that not, that also gives conflict, or because actually like you expect your child to give you that kind of respect?
No. I mean, the respect that I want her to have for herself in the long run, it's like calling upon my own respect to my own self, because for some time I felt like I was raising her with love and affection, but the lack of authority there meant a bit of lack of respect towards myself, not from her, but I disrespected myself.
Mm-hmm. So how can you change that?
How can you change that? To be honest, with me, it was just an inner tapping into my own respect. I don't know how it I'm not saying I'm the perfect parent suddenly. There's days I completely lose it, or parts of the day I might lose it, but I definitely don't lose it as much as I used to, and I'm more centered. I might overstretch, I might extend, but I always return to my center these days. And I don't know how, but I don't know what you did, but you kind of helped me find that center. I don't know, what did you do? What did you do?
Like when you can see yourself in a place of authority, that you can actually like feel it, because actually it's a feeling, and we have talked about it. So I remind you of the feeling of authority. How will you stand? What will you do at that time?
The very, very important thing that helped me get there was the big hurdle in the way called guilt and fear that I'm traumatizing my child. I think the minute you got that hurdle out of the way and you freed me from any guilt of she's not being traumatized. And that kind of helped me reroute myself back to my authority subconsciously, effortlessly.
Yeah, so as a parent, you can also remember or remind yourself about the fact that this child is a product of your education and like guidance, but then not making yourself the victim of it, from like, I have to do this and I have to do it well, and see it's not working right now, and how can I change this? Yeah, but saying like what kind of, I love my child. I love my child. I'm a good parent. Yeah. So the best thing what I can do is giving my love. But it doesn't say that I actually embrace it and say it's all well. No. The no is no means from like no, authority. No, we stop now. And you listen to me right now.
Yeah.
And that is that respect also to yourself. I'm the one who has to change. I'm the one who has to reach out and to actually to have that kind of different way of talking. I can't expect that from my child. I can't say like I've told you 10 times to do this. Yeah.
Yes.
And now you have to change. No, I have to change so my child can change. So like when I can see myself in a way like as the authority that my child needs, I will follow up with that kind of feeling.
And why do you think people nowadays find it hard to be the chiefs of their own tribe? Sometimes they're not even the adults, let alone the chiefs. They've misconstrued the word being the boss. Even they give that word, the title to the child. They even joke like, let's ask the boss if we can go, like. And, if there's another thing I've learned through my whole years of knowing you is that words matter. Words have an energy. I remember like a session where there was just pieces of paper on the floor with words written under the papers, and I could feel where the word anger was and where the word love was just by
feeling.
Yes, because you gave it that energy. So words matter. So we're calling the kid the boss, and then we joke about it, and then we go home and the kid is bossing us around, and then we're angry about it. But you're the one that gave that kid that label. And that at the same time, you're scared of labeling yourself the boss because it sounds too dictatorship-like, too Gestapo-like, too non-free-like. Why? A good boss is necessary in every place. And a good boss doesn't mean like a tyrant or like a dictator. It means somebody that gives the ethos, the background, the structure, the rhythm. And then that way, all the employees or all the family members can find their own way and flourish calmly.
Yeah, as you say, like, we joke about it, but actually you don't take yourself serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's
so not being like the chief of your tribe is like you don't take yourself serious. And that always actually is reflected back to you.
Okay,
so like authority means also that you take yourself serious.
So if we go even deeper, why do 70% I would say adults today, parents of today, not take themselves so seriously? What's led to this, that your generation, the older generation, took themselves so seriously? And what did they do or didn't do along the parenting of us that we nowadays fail to take ourselves so seriously?
Yeah, I don't mean from like you don't have to be always like so serious. But
no.
But it's about like that, that some things actually is for a child like a kind of guideline. Yeah. So having parents and they joke because there is really a joke going on, but when you actually like not take yourself serious in it, like calling your child the boss, then you actually play with something that can blow up in a far more bigger thing. When it's really a joke, a child knows that. But when you actually say it's the boss, it's because you're already irritated about the behavior of the child.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not actually out of like, ha ha ha, it's so funny.
No.
And most people actually try to push that away because,
And that subconsciously makes you smaller without realizing it. And then that subconsciously makes a kid that hears it and absorbs it, even if it's the kid playing in the background, bigger. And it gives it too much power.
So yeah, of course. Because we talked in the other podcast already about it. Your child exactly knows what you feel. So when you're irritated and you camouflage it with like jokes, then it always is reflected back in the way you don't want it.
Yes, comes back and bites you.
Yeah.
So true. Just like when you joke with your partner about something that displeases you, and then he knows there's an irritation under that comment.
Yeah, but when you are equals, then you can actually say like, okay, I say it in this way, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, or actually
but your child
feel
doesn't
comfortable
know.
to joke about it and say it's a joke and we both know.
Yeah.
But the child doesn't know that.
No. So yeah, words are important.
Words are important. But then again, coming back, what is it that led to us being like that, this generation? Not trying to find the blame game, but I think it will disburden a lot of parents to know how they ended up being softies, not taking themselves so seriously, not giving themselves so much credit, so much power.
Yeah, this is a part of that kind of like idea that you should actually like be more developed. We know more, so
better.
and we know better. So then we can't actually go for the primitive being angry, and we camouflage our anger. It only comes out in a different way then.
So true, Will. So true.
But that is happening.
So the old generation felt an anger, expressed it one way. We try not to express it and
And
appear as calm, but the irritation is still coming out and creating domestic chaos.
Yeah.
So,
And then because actually you have not been jumping out of your skin, you think like, I don't deserve that. I did my utmost best.
yes, at least the old generation felt like, well, I just spanked them, so I guess I deserve that. But nowadays it feels like this is what I get back. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I do so my best, and then this is the result.
Most parents sound drained and like disappointed that they don't see gratification from their child, but it's not about gratification. It's about your underneath irritation that's causing a domestic chaos, and you think the child is ungrateful, but the child doesn't know how to be ungrateful or
The
grateful.
child only like mirrors back what you do. When you see a mother and she has 3 kids and she goes to a meeting and she sits there and the child is running around and one is sitting next to her and she doesn't actually correct there from like, okay, it's my meeting, I have to bring you because I couldn't actually have a babysitter or something. Then it's chaos and nobody enjoys it and everybody is upset about the kids. But it's the mother who's not keeping control there. When you say like, okay, I take things with me, a book, a car or whatever, I have to go there. You stay and you sit there and you wait together with me. Yeah, because actually I need to be there. When you're honest and you're not already in panic, but when you're honest and calm and that you can say like, it will not take too long. And you don't expect a child to wait for an hour or something.
Yes.
But as long as you prepare it well, your child will follow up with you.
Sometimes I feel guilty that we go to eat and I pass a phone to each of my children. And, once I would have sworn not to have done it, but nowadays you let go of my guilt and it's out now. I do what I like so long as it feels good. But it's because I know that at that time the child is tired. It would have been a good time for her to be home or to be sleeping. So I pass the device in the sense of there's no point trying to educate right now or trying to talk logic. Is that okay? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, when it actually has this kind of purpose that you say like, okay, and then don't feel guilty about it. Then it's a solution.
Yes, because the intention
But when
is
you
not...
sit the whole day on your telephone and your child is asking you things and you say like, yeah, I'm coming, and not paying attention, then you give an example already to your child from like, okay, this thing is more important than you. Yeah, and so that child will actually like also then at that time like rebel on it.
Yes.
But using a device sometimes, because actually it's very convenient, there's nothing else for the child there to do.
Basically, it's about not being a hypocrite, asking them to do something you don't do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not having guilt feelings, because actually when you use it in a way that it's a proper way or a proper solution, then of course you can use all the new things in this world.
Exactly. At the right time, when the parent judges, it's a time that you don't.
But you see people behind the pram, and in the meantime they have a telephone. Enjoy your time with your child. Simple. Enjoy your time with your child sometimes.
Yeah. How about the idea of like setting limits but not limitations? There's that confusion of, again, if I tell them what to do, I will limit their ability one day, their creativity, let them, be free. Limitation and limits is 2 different things.
Yeah. In the limitation, you stop actually the process.
Is limitation like a conditioned mind? Is that what we mean by?
It's kind of, limitations are also like coming from someone else. stopping you in your creative process. Limits are, it's like finding that safe route in the maze. Limitations are more or less more obstacles.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that is caused most of the time by others in your life.
It's like limitations restrain you.
Yeah. So as a parent, you can put limits, and then you do that in the way that you guide in the maze to the best route. And when you put limitations, that is, or the child feels limitations or whatever with limitations, is that you have already taken that process and now you are stuck someplace. Yeah, so you can't go on with that, and you have to see then who's actually causing that. Most of the time it's not like, it can be that you give yourself limitations by saying I can't do it, but it's also like the parent that can say like, oh, I will do it for you, I can do it faster.
That's causing a limitation.
Yeah, because actually now you think, I can't do it, my dad or my mom can do it better.
I had a recent example where Arya said, I want rollerblades. And I said, you can't really do rollerblades, so why should we order that for your birthday? And she was like, yes, I can. So then I remember, that's when I felt like I'm placing a limitation. And I said, no, what I meant by that is knowing you're not into that. We're going to buy them, they're going to be left there, and you're not going to learn. Are you going to promise that you're going to wear them? Because once you wear them, I have no doubt you can manage. It's all about you wearing them, putting them on.
But you create already a limitation by you thinking that she's not actually like following up with learning to roller skate.
True. So you think already I'm creating...
You give your opinion.
Just the fact that I think that she won't pick them up.
Yeah.
But then again, I'll answer to that, to you, because I know my child and I know she's not athletic. She will be like, yeah, I want to play Barbies. So
you don't want to buy a present that she doesn't actually enjoy.
Yes, she made me buy two, how you call them, those...
But you don't start saying like...
skates, and she's not using them.
Yeah, but do you know what you have to do with them? You don't ask out what she thinks that she can do with it. Yeah, it's an example like, it's
so
well meant.
what would be your response?
It's well
I want
meant.
rollerblades, Mom. And you know she's not really...
I would say like, so you're going to start learning rollerblading.
Yeah, but you don't believe that.
But it has nothing to do with me. She wants for her birthday.
Yeah, you're going to waste your money. They're going to be stuck there.
Yeah.
Would you still proceed and buy them nonetheless?
Like, you can give the choice. So like, okay, when I buy them, you have to learn, or we can buy something else.
Isn't that like forcing her? You have to learn.
No, because actually that is the outcome when you have a rollerblade. It's not actually going on its own.
So I'm going to give the real example now. You go out and buy them. She's excited. You come back home. She never wears them. They're just there, taking up space.
Yeah.
Would you say something?
I would actually like not buy another present. I would say like, okay, you promised to learn it. When you don't want to learn it, yeah.
So you think you mean the next time she asks for something, would you use that as a reminder?
You can use it as a reminder. You can also say like, shall we give it to someone else? To make it useful.